Thank you for listening to the Redfield Arts Review. This is your announcer, Mary Ann Perry. Brought to you by...
Hello, this is Caroline Monroe.
And I'm Martine Beswick.
And we're here to tell you about this wonderful and exciting new project that we've both been involved with. It's called Sinbad and the Pirate Princess.
And it's a movie for your ear.
Baghdad. The great city and its citizens are celebrating.
Now, as I am a river to my people.
You must kill her, my handsome and still skeptical Captain Sinbad. The only good pirate is a dead one.
Brace yourself, Captain Bula! The pirates are upon us! Their ship comes alongside us!
I shall not rest until all of Badra's ships are burnt.
You remind me of only one other swordsman with such skill.
Who?
Me!
What is that in that vial?
This? Simply the blood of a siren mixed into a potion that I now drink.
Look! Look! She changes, Captain!
For you and the people of Zelos, I have complete faith in Sinbad. He's the very man you need.
For 3 days on 2 screens, Bay Area Film Events presented 10 great fantasy films from the master stop-motion animator and special effects wizard Ray Harryhausen at the Balboa Theater in San Francisco.
A tidal wave of terror engulfs the screen as a raging monster from the dawn of creation attacks the world of man. West Coast reels under Holocaust as the men and weapons of the atomic age battle to the death against the ageless monster of the deep.
For the 3-day film festival, in between the screenings, there were presentations made by Connor Heaney, the collections manager for the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation, and Ray and Diana's daughter, Vanessa Harryhausen.
This is Dynamation. Dynamation will be brought to the screen for the first time in color with the release of Columbia Pictures' The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. Anything the mind can conceive can now be brought to the screen. As for example, this scene from The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, in which the Princess Parisa, played by Catherine Grant, is reduced to doll size by the magician Sakura.
Vanessa and Connor spoke on many topics related to Vanessa's father's life and work. The talks, with audience question and answer sessions following, included a wide range of topics, including Vanessa's experiences at home and on set with her father and his film work.
The myth, the magic, the mystery, the majesty.
Destroy Argos! Let loose the last of the Titans.
Metro Goldwyn Mayer presents Clash of the Titans.
Mark Redfield was able to steal Vanessa and Connor away for a few minutes during the weekend festival to dig a little deeper into what the duo were up to in making preparations for Ray Harryhausen's centennial in 2020, including a grand museum exhibition planned to celebrate the life and legacy of the brilliant animator. Here's Mark Redfield in conversation with Connor Heaney and Vanessa Harryhausen.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you. It's lovely to see you too.
I love seeing you and hanging out with you and doing things. And Connor, it's been great getting to know you, and I mean that genuinely.
Yeah, it's been lots of fun.
I've heard you on the podcasts for the foundation, and seen your social media, Facebook and the Twitter things, all the events that you've been doing, and leading up to the 100th remembrance anniversary of your dad, Ray Harryhausen. And events like this at the Balboa,
like Rocky.
Balboa.
Yeah.
I keep thinking it's like the Hobbit thing.
No, think of Rocky.
Rocky, okay. I got to remember Rocky. But it's been a great weekend. They've been screening how many films?
I think it's 11. Yeah, it's 11 of Ray's films. So it's all the sort of the most popular of the Harryhausen classics.
And you've been able to do introductions and little talks in between. And the talks have ranged from what subjects?
Well, this weekend, because we often do introductions to Ray's life and Ray's work, on this occasion we felt that most of the attendees would know a little bit about Ray beforehand, so we've taken it from a different angle.
And some of them know, or they think they know more than you do, you guys do.
Yeah.
No, so it's been great because some of Ray's most passionate fans have been in attendance, and it's always great to chat to these people, which has been another bonus of the weekend's festival. But yes, on this occasion we thought we'd do something a little different, and we have looked at Ray's life and films from Vanessa's perspective.
Yeah,
That's
it's
really great.
it's been fun just adding some personal pictures and talking about my life at home around Daddy from growing up, you know, and then another section of being on film set. And
Which
stuff.
has got to be fun and exciting. And good memories there.
It was amazing and feel very privileged.
Yeah. And I guess, you know, fans have this idea that there's a parallel where fans believe that all actors know all other actors. You know, how can you not possibly? And I guess fans, when we first met, my dad's a ceramic artist, and but I don't remember as a kid sitting in his studio watching him sculpt and that kind of thing. But I was like you, around events and things like that. And then as you got older, there were memories, I'm sure, that were just seared into your head and heart.
Yeah.
That, you know, were very, very clear. And there's a cool thing that I only found out about this weekend on the set of Eye of the Tiger, where you were a photo where you were the stand-in for the cameraman. Yeah, was that Eye of the Tiger?
No, that was Clash of the Titans.
Oh, right. Okay, so because I just got my I got my rocks, but of course, yes, you were tied to the rocks.
Yeah, I was stand-in for Judy Bowker.
Right.
Dad just wanted the height and the. I was
so
worried I was going to be chained up forever there, but I wasn't, so that was okay.
And that's to get the framing and the lights and all of that from that thing. I would have loved to have known you back then and just romped. The first Ray Harryhausen film I saw in the theater was '74's Golden Voyage, which, you know, is a small weird coincidence that I'm now working with Caroline Munro on some things, and that's where you met her daughter.
Yes, Tammy.
Yeah.
We went to boarding school together, and obviously we got introduced when Dad hired Caroline to be in Golden Voyage, and we ended up going to boarding school together, Tammy and I, and we have been firm friends ever since for about 45 years, I think.
Best friends. And
absolutely.
This came up in one of the Q&As, you know, when you talk about that film, you talk about Caroline, and then Caroline's friendship with your mom and dad and with you, and that Caroline is helping with the foundation.
Yeah, she's been instrumental in support and giving it from an actress's point of view, because we're all giving different, you know, mine from being Ray's daughter,
right?
Connor being the curator and looking after and archiving.
And you're just a walking encyclopedia of things. You've very much impressed me with having the right answer. I mean, I have a fanboy's knowledge of Ray's work, and I wanted to be an animator when I was a teenager. More of probably a cartoon animator. But yeah, it's really impressed me that you've been able to politely correct people, you know, and fill in information, even if they're, you know, not a professional. They've been a fan.
Well, it's interesting because, as Vanessa mentioned, I've coming at this job from an archivist point of view and from working with the collection. So I've really had to immerse myself in Ray's life and work. And although I've never been an animator, and the technical aspects of filmmaking are something that I've never experienced firsthand, it's been one of the joys of working with the collection, because every day is a school day. You're always finding out something new, and I get to speak to people who have this vast, you know, this deep well of knowledge,
which is great.
People like our conservator Alan Friswell, or our good friend Mike Hankin, who's working on his Master of the Magics trilogy of books. Mike started writing those books the year before I was born, so that gives you some idea of the depths of knowledge and why it's so useful for me, and why I'm so grateful to these people for sharing their knowledge with me. I mean, Alan has told me that he's watched Ray's films frame by frame to pick up little nuances in the techniques that Ray employed. And yeah, for him to have that knowledge and share it with me just gives me such a head start. But yes, working in the collection and reading about Ray's life and seeing this story develop over the course of 90 some years of all of the things that Ray was doing.
And to jump back to Caroline for a moment, this is something that I observed, which I was trying to get out, articulate just a moment ago, and I'm jumping around a lot, but the friendship that formed between them. What I realized, what you were saying in the Q&A the other day was, and you started talking about Caroline's openness and her big heart and her generosity, and that's very much what your father was like. Yeah. And so it was sort of like spirits in that regard. And it comes through, and looking at the fans and the questions that came, and there were animators that came up from LA to here to San Francisco for the festival. There was Randy Cook, who I understand that you're trying to pull into things a little bit more to get next year's event off and running, and all the events beyond that. But that's the response that I see you, and particularly you, Vanessa, getting from these fans. They want that connection, and they want to know these things from you.
Yeah, so I think it's a behind the scenes, not just the actor or the director, producer, animator. They want to, I think sometimes a little bit of the home life to sort of ground them a bit and let them understand that we are mostly normal behind the scenes. Dad does go and cut the lawn, and we do other things, and he does other home things.
What was life like at home? What was the man like? What was your mom like? And because it isn't all work, even for workaholics. No. There is life in there. Let me jump back to you, Connor, for a second. How do you get to become a collections manager and an archivist? I mean, I'm coming from an actor and a filmmaker point. You were, Vanessa, born into this world and caring now as an adult, caring for the estate, and with the board of trustees on the foundation, the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation. But what's your background in a nutshell? How did you get this job, and is it a dream job? Has it been good?
It's absolutely a dream job, and I was kind of in the right place at the right time. My degree was archaeology, and from there I started working with archaeology collections and learning about databases and the practical aspects of cataloguing. That kind of led into a similar career in working with aerial photography collections. So I used to work for the National Collection of Aerial Photography, which is held by Historic Scotland, and the bulk of that collection is World War II reconnaissance photography. So really interesting stuff. These brave men would remove the gun from their Spitfire airplanes and fly over Nazi Germany, taking photographs to return home, and then that would be interpreted. That's essentially how they found the V2 bombs and the V1 bombs and scuppered Hitler's plans for an invasion.
Fascinating stuff there.
So that was a really interesting job, and I loved it. And I worked actually for a documentary that was made during the Commonwealth Games in Scotland in 2014, where it was focused on African survey material, and they flew over Africa and surveyed the Commonwealth, and then they were looking at the repercussions of that sort of 50 years later. So that was all very interesting, but I was looking to develop.
So how do you come to, Vanessa, how do you hire this guy who's off in this other world? I mean, how did that come about?
Well, we had to go through, I can't tell you how many, I think we went 2-3 days of going through different people.
Interviews?
Yes, interviews. And narrowed it down to about 3 or 4 people. And Connor just sort of shone through, and he's been a real asset. It's just been wonderful.
How did you find out about the interview? How did you know?
Well, this is the funny thing. I was already a fan of Ray Harryhausen, thanks to my mum, who brought me up on films like Jason and the Argonauts. My mum's got a classics degree. She's a very clever woman. I hope she hears this. And she was a huge fan of Ray's already, and she passed that down to me. But it was funny. The trustees didn't advertise the job as work for the Ray Harryhausen Foundation. It was a fairly sort of neutral, anonymous job posting which just said film collection. And I thought, well, this looks quite interesting. This looks like it corresponds with what I've been doing already. Maybe a little step up in terms of responsibility. But it didn't tell me what. Also, I sent off my CV. And when the letter came back to say that it was with the Ray Harryhausen Foundation, I nearly fell off my chair. I had to read it twice. And I thought, well, what is this? Turkin Connell? It's a legal company. Maybe there's a lawyer called Ray Harryhausen in Edinburgh that I've never heard of, because there can't be two. And why would it be why would he be in Scotland? Why would I be given this amazing opportunity?
Right.
But no, I looked up and it was right. It was the foundation.
So you jumped for it, and he was the smartest, sharpest, and I think you made the right choice just based on, again, getting to know you just only recently, and your knowledge of things and your enthusiasm is really, really great. Here's a question that I think lay people, fans, casual fans who don't know these books that other people are writing about Ray Harryhausen, and maybe they have the reprint of Fantasy Film Scrapbook or something, and that's all about the films. Ray was an American, and you just touched on the fact that you're answering an ad in Edinburgh, Scotland. What's the British and Scottish? What are the connections? And obviously, I'm opening this up by saying it's your mom.
Yeah.
But what are the various connections, and then why is the museum next year in 2020 in Edinburgh?
Well, my mum's side is because she's a great granddaughter of David Livingstone.
Aha.
And
I
also
have found you.
Yes. Daddy ended up doing a huge sculpture at Blantyre.
Yeah.
Of David Livingstone, unfortunately getting attacked by a lion. So that's the sort of Scottish-American connection. But I think they both met at a party they didn't want to go to. And I guess it must have been love at first sight, and that.
And then I guess the common understanding is that because at a certain point, particularly when the fantasy films really kick in, and the color films, and the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and these films are being shot on inexpensive but beautiful locations in places like Spain and the Mediterranean, then you're closer.
Yeah.
I guess Ray was an Anglophile and just enjoyed England.
Yeah, I think he chose this country, or the UK, because it was much cheaper to get film units and locations in Europe than it was to go from America to Europe.
Right.
So I think that was a large indicator of helping the budgets and whatnot.
Because the crews can just go home and not have to go to a hotel.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Sure. It's that way today. Big companies send to countries that give them the best breaks. So nothing's changed about that whatsoever. And you get the flavor of that in those films. They're just shot in marvelous places, and not just down on Catalina Island standing in for tropical whatever. So now the future is very exciting because you're going to be telling this story of your story about going through everything that is now in the collection, all of your dad's, from the obvious things fans know about, like the models and the armatures and things, but to the sketches and to the everyday things that he worked with, including his entire workshop, his studio. But the real exciting thing is, of course, 2020 is
his dad. He would have been 100.
100 years old. And so you're planning a 4-month, is it, exhibit? Tell us about the exhibit that's coming.
Yes, so May till October 2020, we'll see a massive exhibition of Ray's collection and a
Biggest
celebration.
Talos.
Exactly, yes, a celebration.
We'd like to get a Talos in there, yes.
That'd be great if people could enter through his legs.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're hoping.
We've been talking about it. But yeah, a celebration of Ray's life throughout that whole summer at the Scottish National Gallery of Modern Art in Edinburgh. And once they got a feel for the scope and the size of the collection, they decided that really it needed an entire building. So we have the entirety of their building, Modern 2, on Belford Road in Edinburgh. And it's so exciting because although you've mentioned that the foundation is established in Scotland, in fact, the exhibition didn't have to take place in Edinburgh. It could have been anywhere else. We had lots of interest from museums and institutions around the world.
Well, hopefully it can be a jumping off point to either moving the entire show to another place or obviously setting up other exhibitions around the world.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's going to be. It's not a blowout. It's a launch pad really for another 10 years of celebrations of Ray's life.
Yeah.
But the guys at the National Galleries, they had such great ideas and they were really enthusiastic about the collection. Their director Simon Groom, we've been having quite a few years of discussions now about what we could potentially do, and they had so much imagination and so many fantastic ideas that it's the ideal location.
So if you're a Ray Harryhausen fan, if you're an animation fan, if you're a Vanessa Harryhausen fan like I am, where can you follow all of the unfolding of these events and little things like what's happening here in San Francisco, where there's little film festival and talks and that kind of thing? Where's the best place for people to follow your activities?
Well, we have quite active social media channels, so you could head to our website, which is rayharryhausen.com.
That's easy to remember.
If you look on our Facebook page, it's facebook.com/rayharryhausen.
Great.
Twitter is twitter.com/ray_harryhausen. And Instagram is instagram.com/ray.harryhausen.
And those are all the official points of social media for the Ray and Diana Harryhausen Foundation, because there's a lot of some very wonderful social media sites where they're sharing information and all that kind of thing, but this is the official stuff to get the word of events, and certainly Scotland. And what...
Just to say, the Facebook site is verified and the website is official, but you can also sign up for a newsletter too on our website and through all of these channels as well. So we have so much going on.
And even more important, sign up for the newsletter if whether you're in San Francisco or in New York, London or Scotland. How can people help the foundation? If they wanted to send you money, where do they go? They just should go to the website?
Yeah, the website has a donation section where you can find out a little more about donating to the foundation. It's a registered charity, so it's a charitable donation, and any money that we receive from personal donations or from events and exhibitions that we've undertaken, that all gets ploughed into our restoration fund and used towards protecting and, where necessary, repairing Ray's creatures for future generations to enjoy.
Because you're still cataloging material, lots of material, and you are going through phases. You select certain things that need restoration, and you do that, and once that mission accomplished, you then move on to other things.
Well, we're trying to choose the worst at the moment that need immediate...
Get those going.
Immediate stuff, so... It's great, and Alan Friswell is doing such a wonderful job, and he was under the instruction directly from my dad. So he hasn't just gone in there and done it willy-nilly. He has done it to the letter and kept to the letter as my dad wished for it to be, which is wonderful, and it's so exciting seeing these things repaired and restored, and I think Dad would have been thrilled if he was alive.
So what's happening next? Is it too early to mention this rumor that I overheard you talking about a book? Is it too early to mention that, or
no.
Should I tell everybody at home who's listening to this to disregard what I just said? Tell us about the book.
Because
I know it's early days.
It is. It's just sort of very rough at the moment. But I thought it would be fun to do from my perspective as growing up as a child living with all these wonderful creatures and Dad's talent, So there will be a bit about that. There will be a bit about being on set and various other exciting things. So it should be good.
I can't wait to see it.
Haven't quite mapped it all out yet, but.
And there's no title yet. You're still trying to figure out the best title. I've kind of liked some of the ideas I've heard.
Well, we've just really broken the ground on Vanessa's book, because clearly people would anticipate an exhibition catalogue for an exhibition of our size, and we thought, well, we could do something a little different, because Vanessa, the one thing that nobody else in the world has is Vanessa's memories and Vanessa's perspective on things and life in the Harryhausen home. So that's I think the book will in equal share celebrate the collection and the incredible collection that will be on display in our exhibition, but
That's
also
fantastic.
Vanessa's experiences as a child and as an adult and as a trustee of the foundation. Another book project that we have a little sooner and due for release later this year is Harryhausen, The Lost Movies. and that's been written by another one of our trustees, John Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
John was a filmmaker who made a documentary with Ray when he was still in film school.
I know that, yeah.
In the 1980s, and John later became a trustee, and he and I worked very hard over the last year looking for all of the information on the films that Ray had either started upon or had concepts
Developed,
that never quite reached the big screen for whatever reason.
Whether it was early days, a lot of fans know about, of course, The War of the Worlds and his love for adapting that story, and just things that he dreamt about but never came to
That's
see.
right, and like so many other filmmakers, he had lots of projects.
I think Peter Jackson's got the record, though, of projects planned and dreamed about, and boop, nothing but...
well, that's the thing.
But all filmmakers and artists do.
That's right, and that's why I think it will be such a relatable book. And I think as well it speaks to Ray's tenacity and practicality, that he always had a couple of extra ideas as streams that he could step in and out of. So not everybody, most of Ray's fans will know about The War of the Worlds or Baron Munchausen or other projects.
And we found these sketches too for a lot of these films.
Yeah.
Outlines and that, and it's fabulous.
And some of you mentioned the watercolors the other day. Are those production sketches, or are they just other studies?
It's quite unusual.
Because for an artist like me and a filmmaker, I mean, this is just... I can't wait to see the exhibition in these books. This is a treasure trove of stuff.
That's right. Well, a lot of the Lost Movies material will be on display at our exhibition next year. But yes, the watercolors were for Baron Munchausen.
Which is a personal favorite story of mine, and I love Terry Gilliam's film, and I would have given anything. And there's a little test footage, or am I?
No, that's right.
There is.
Yeah, there's a so the watercolors are quite unusual. Ray didn't usually use watercolors, so they're rare in their own right.
Usually pencil or charcoal that he was working in.
But the test footage is of the man in the moon. So there's a little Munchausen figure, and then there's the man on the moon, sort of speaking, keeping the little Baron captive. Now, actually, it's quite interesting. This was something that Ray had planned, where he tried to use stop motion animation, but maneuver this moon man's mouth so that there could be dialogue. So the model actually had levers in the back to manipulate. I think Ray realised that it was more or less impossible, because it would have taken so long to move a mouth frame by frame to have speech in the film. So this was an experiment. But that moon man was one of the objects that Vanessa discovered alongside Jim Danforth and Randy Cook.
Yeah.
Just relatively recently. Tell us about that. I mean, recently in the span of the career. But what's the story about that garage of treasure?
I don't know how it came about, but we got we asked Dad if there was anything in California in the Palisades, and he said, "Oh no, there's nothing out there but crap." And I was like, "Really?" And he said, "Well, there might be a few things in boxes, but I can't remember." So my husband and I volunteered to go out and have a look.
Sure.
And the house was being rented out by a friend of Dad's, and so we had to make sure that we had permission to get into the garage and in the house to get to any possibilities that. And we started going through the garage, and
you saw immediately that there was a lot more stuff than you anticipated.
So I called our friend Randy and said, "Can you get over here?" Randy Cook, and Jim Danforth.
Yeah.
Because they're both experts on things.
And they would know if they saw something that you didn't know.
Yeah. And they're very good with the film and all sorts. So they came over, and it was just like Christmas every day. I mean, oh my gosh, the stuff we found, film clippings, the little red...
wasn't there a little Sinbad figure?
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the fairy tale things like Midas, and Little Miss Muffet, and all the wee chairs and all the wee props for the fairy tales we found, all in a box.
So that's the crap that he was just ready to
I know. Including, I can't remember, some dinosaur we found up in the attic, a hard rubber dinosaur that we found. So Jim and Randy were instrumental in helping sort this out. And then with the film stuff, Randy got in touch with Peter Jackson, who, God bless him, he said, well, if you can get it to the airport, we'll sorted out and preserve it for you, and they've still got the stuff for us. So
Fantastic.
we're hoping to take some of that footage back and some of the first stills and have it in our exhibit, next year. And this is unseen stuff.
Oh, wow.
Because it was sort of cutting room stuff, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. So it was the test footage and the dailies, rather than test footage for Ray's animation.
Yeah.
So Randy actually described a little bit about what he saw there last night. It's really fantastic stuff that goes to show just how important it was for Ray to keep all of this material. So although he may have forgotten what was in this garage in LA, Ray never threw anything away, and he kept all of this throughout these many decades of his creative life.
Off the top of your head, how many items are in the collection? Just cataloged or uncatalogued? I mean, just throw a figure out that you think is...
So catalogued, we have about 13,500 items catalogued, but there's a lot still to go. And sort of what Vanessa was speaking to there is that we're still finding things all of the time. Like, we obviously have the key objects catalogued now, but we're still finding photographs, documents, sketches, all kinds of really unusual material. And it's no exaggeration to say on a weekly basis there's something that makes us go, wow, come and see, look what
you're on this treasure hunt now, you're on this mission. So what's the most exciting thing for you that's been uncovered or revealed in this journey?
Oh wow, I mean, there have been so many highlights.
Just pick one.
I think just to talk to Vanessa's story of Ray's personal life and his story, we found Ray's stripes from his time in the army in World War II. He was a second technician. Like so many men of his generation, he served his country during the war and was a second technician. And that in itself was a very interesting story because he went on to work in Frank Capra's film unit alongside Dr. Zeus and so many others.
Theodore Geisel.
That's right, yeah. So many... So he was there creating sort of propaganda films, as well as, Vanessa, you mentioned training as a sniper?
Yes, well, I remember Dad saying that, but I haven't found anything as yet to confirm that. But he did say that,
but
so
it could be
I don't know why
training
I got
and
that.
maybe something in his nature that is so still and precise and patient. Because I can't imagine you having any other qualities.
No.
And for you, what's the most, and I know it's been an overwhelming journey as things continue to heat up and move forward. But what pops into mind when I ask what's for you the most exciting thing that's come out of this journey so far?
Gosh, so many things. I'm awestruck at the talent that I keep finding, even just in his very basic sketches.
Yeah.
And I was saying to Connor the other day that it would be really good to show the very, very beginnings, so that the youngsters outside, learning or wanting to do animation or be an artist, understand that Ray didn't just suddenly magically become this fantastic artist. He had to really, really work at it.
Yeah.
And persistence pays. You have a dream, follow that dream, and you can make it happen. If you've got it inside, follow it through.
Yeah. And you develop your talent.
Yes.
And you keep getting better.
But you've got to have that real
Nothing
want.
is
Because
overnight.
no.
Yeah.
And we found some first puppets and stuff that he did in his teenage days, and he hated them. He said, "Oh, don't show those, they're awful, they're so crappy." But I think again it shows the very beginnings of how he's thinking. I'm just mesmerized by the whole thing, and just little things. It's just so much fun going through everything. And now I'm doing some of the archiving with Connor, which is just wonderful, and I feel so privileged to be able to do that.
Wow. It's like a living... I can't quite come up with the metaphor, the image that's in my head. It's like you're in the middle of creating this living diary that's kind of telling a story. I'm very excited for that.
Well, this is the idea, is that this is one of the most incredible collections in the world, and the fact that it is so intact. So I think it's second only to the Walt Disney collection in terms of an animation archive.
Yeah.
So as well as photographing models and writing down their details and cataloguing them, there's this opportunity to build a larger story with the database that we have, which is a museum standards database named AdLib. You don't just put that basic information in, you can also put information in about conservation history, exhibitions, related
so
materials.
it continues to grow, and then you like a fractured diamond. You've got all of these
That's right.
sub things where you can track and you know where.
Exactly. You can have these threads going through where you don't just have Talos the model. You've got the first ever sketch for Talos.
You've got a history
and
of
you've got
every little
prototypes, and you've got the other parts of Talos, the big foot and the big hand, which we still have, although they're just armatures.
Right.
Link them all together, and then you've got the Talos bronzes, and then you've got exhibitions, restorations. It could even go as far as finding a book on Greek myths where Ray's underlined a few things, and the concept appears in his head.
Where did a verbal image feed? This is all exciting stuff.
So we're, and it's a long project, but we're growing this.
Well, it's a good thing you're a young man.
I've got a long way to go.
You've got your work cut out for you.
But this opportunity to create a very unique understanding of Ray's working practices over the decades, and yes, it's the most exciting job in the world, definitely, because every day is an adventure.
Well, that's great. Well, I think from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from you, I think you're marvelous, and it's really great to meet you, and I love you, Vanessa.
Oh, thank you.
I think you're
Love
fantastic.
you too.
Thank you for listening to the Redfield Arts Review. Please come back again for our next show. The Redfield Arts Review and the original content of this program is copyright the Mark Redfield Company. Shopping for Explosives by Coconut Monkey Rocket. Licensed under Attribution Non-Commercial International License. All other content used by permission of the respective rights holders or used for educational and informational purposes. Original music, sound design, and engineering is by Jennifer Rouse. This is your announcer, Mary Ann Perry.
Hello, this is Caroline Monroe.
And I'm Martine Beswick.
And we're here to tell you about this wonderful and exciting new project that we've both been involved with. It's called Sinbad and the Pirate Princess.
And it's a movie for your ear.
Baghdad. The great city and its citizens are celebrating.
Now, as I am a river to my people.
You must kill her, my handsome and still skeptical Captain Sinbad. The only good pirate is a dead one.
Brace yourself, Captain Bulla! The pirates are upon us! Their ship comes alongside us!
I shall not rest until all of Badra's ships are burnt.
You remind me of only one other swordsman with such skill.
Who?
Me!
What is that in that vial?
This? Simply the blood of a siren mixed into a potion that I now drink.
Look! Look! She changes, Captain!
For you and the people of Zelos, I have complete faith in Sinbad. He's the very man you need.